Have you experienced the pain of betrayal, the kind that shatters trust in an instant? I did, damn it, I muttered as I hung up the phone, my voice barely a whisper. Why would you threaten me like that, Tiff? Meanwhile, Tiffany's words haunted me. She told me she loved being with me and looked forward to doing it again. The sting of her deception gnawed at me, unraveling the fabric of our life together. This is my story. Enjoy watching it, dinner time. I call out as I step into the house. Dad's back, my boy shouts, jumping up. He and his sister had been busy with a game on their console. Mark, help me with these, will you? I asked, handing him one of the big bags. Watch out for the sauce in there, he grins and takes the bag to the kitchen, his sister right behind him. Careful, Lili, he warns, you might make me drop it. At 12, Mark acts older than he is. He's our first kid, 4 years older than Lili and very different from her. He's friendly with everyone, Lili is shy. They're a lot like me and their mom, funny enough. Some folks say I'm making Mark just like me and my wife is doing the same with Lili, but that's not true at all. Look who's home early, Tiffany says with a big smile, kissing me. She's 37 but doesn't look it, short and slim, her dark hair and eyes matching her skin tone. I thought you had more work today, I reply, handing her another bag. I've been with Tiffany for 14 years. Hope you're in the mood for Chinese Sichuan, she knows I know her favorites. She heads to the dining room with a happy look. We get everything ready for dinner while Mark and Lili get the food out. Be gentle with that, I say as I lean over to grab more plates. Hey, is that a gun, or are you just happy to see me? My wife laughs and moves closer to me. Whoa, babe, I whisper in her ear and kiss her neck. Don't do that when the kids can see. I might just grab your chest. Do it, she giggles back, I might grab you too. This is how Tiffany and I joke around. We love each other a lot, and our kids see us happy together. I've got my own insurance business, and Tiffany's a top nurse at the hospital. We both make good money, so our kids have everything they need, and we sometimes take trips together when work lets us. Babe, Tiffany starts as she walks to the dinner table, we need to talk. I get a bad feeling, this is about another work thing. This weekend, right? She nods. I have to go, Jason. It's a big deal for the hospital. I wish I could skip it. Where to this time? I ask as I put the dishes on the table. Atlanta, she says, looking worried. She knows I don't like Atlanta. For how long? 3 days, her voice shakes a bit, letting me know she's not sure how I'll react. The hospital and their group have been sending her off to meetings and training a lot lately. It's all for some big changes in how they take care of people, which is supposed to be good, but it messes with our family time. 3 whole days, I mutter a bit angry as I lay out some plates on the table. The kids, Tiffany, whispers to me, watch your words, love. She doesn't like when I speak roughly near our little ones, and sometimes my wife needs to remind me to think about what I say when they are close. But 3 days, dear. When will this stop? I look at her, hoping for some kind of clear answer. Every single weekend? Not every time, she says back. It's been 4 out of the last 6 weekends. She gives me a small smile and adds, it'll stop soon, Jason, I promise. I just need to do this a bit longer until the people in charge at the hospital are ready for their big plans. Once again, Tiffany makes it hard for me to stay mad at her. After all, this isn't her fault, and it's a bit mean of me to act like she's leaving her family on purpose. She's right, this won't last forever. I guess I can wait a bit more. Okay, I say while shaking my head. Just be safe, okay? Will there be others with you? A few nurses. And a doctor, she answers. We're leading the training to then teach the rest of our team. You really should get that big pay bump, love, Tiffany quickly says with a frown. Lili is here. I look and see my girl looking at us from across the table. Is it ready? She looks worried. Abigail isn't used to watching her mom and dad argue. It's ready, Tiffany tells her. You two should clean up and come to the table, Mark. We can eat, Abigail yells as she hops toward the sink to clean her hands. Her brother follows, and soon they both sit down with Tiffany and me at the table. So, how was your day, Mark? I ask him right after I take a quick bite. He just lifts his shoulders. It was okay. I'm tired of school, I chuckle a bit as I glance at Tiffany and then speak to Mark. You know, I felt a bit tired of school too when I was your age. But you won't be in a classroom your whole life, son. This is just your time to learn stuff. Just like Mom, he says, taking a sip of water. I look at my wife again. Yes, she has more to learn, Mark. We need to keep cheering her on. It won't be long now, Tiffany says. Soon, everything will be like it was before, I promise. She looks at me with her brown eyes and adds, I guess I'll have to make up for being away so much when I'm done with these trips. I can't help but smile at her, thinking about the good times we have when we're making up. I almost cough on my food. Well, I sold a bunch of big insurance deals today, Dad. No one wants to hear about that, Abigail says with a roll of her eyes, making me laugh. Excuse me, then, I tease, winking at her. Was your day better? She nods. I got married. Mark's fork crashes onto his plate. Married, Lili? You're just 8. You can't get married. I raised my hand, shocked. You can't talk like that, Lili. Don't call your brother names, Tiffany says, dabbing her lips with a napkin. I've told you, Jason, they pick up on everything. But you keep talking like that. While part of me wants to chuckle at my 8-year-old calling my 12-year-old a brat, I know it's better not to. It's a sure way to end up in trouble with my wife. Tiffany looks at our girl, Lili, and says, Go get ready for bed, Lili. I'm eating, Lili mumbles, taking a tiny bite. No, you are done, my wife says as she pulls Lili's chair back. You can't say that word and stay with us. Bed now. Her sharp gaze stays on Lili until she runs off crying. Dear, I start shaking my head, isn't that too much? Tiffany fixes a hard look on me, making me wish I hadn't spoken. She didn't learn that word at school, Jason. She might have. I try meeting her harsh stare with a weak smile. No, we both know she's heard it from you. Lots. You do say it, Mark chimes in, agreeing with his mom. We've all heard you. I look at my son. You too, then. Upstairs. What? I did nothing. You should have stayed quiet. This talk isn't for you. Go get ready for sleep. Mark stands up, his jaw tight, and leaves without a word. That was wrong, Jason, Tiffany says. You dislike Lili using bad words, and I dislike when our son is pushed out for speaking up. We've had this talk. My wife just shakes her head. Is that really it? That Mark spoke up, she asks. He should have stayed quiet, I say again. You're mad about my trip tomorrow, aren't you? Tiffany says, I see how tense you are, just like Mark. You get tight-jawed and quiet when upset, her softer eyes seeming to read my thoughts. I can't keep things from my wife, even how I feel or think, even if I try to be sad alone. She won't let me. This is good and bad at the same time. I don't like it when you leave, Tiff. This is making things hard for us. Leave your job and get a new one before the hospital takes too much from you. My spouse stands up and comes closer to me. She grasps my hand and says, This is just for a bit, love. Then I'll be home every weekend, and we can do things together again as a family. I love my work. Don't ask me to quit just because you don't like me going to meetings here and there. It's not just 1 or 2, Tiffany. It's been 4 in the last few weeks. She puts her hand through my hair and says, I know, giving me a kiss on the head. But it will end soon, I promise. My spouse is amazing. I can't believe I'm finally with the kind of woman I've always wanted to be with, her. When it all seems like too much, Tiffany is there for me. I can't help but smile at her. I give her a cheek kiss and tell her I love her so much and I will support her no matter what she needs to do for work. Let's call them back for dinner before it cools. Her gaze tightens. Lila called Mark a bad word, love. I chuckle to myself as I gaze at Tiffany. My fault. I'll skip dinner if you just call them back in, kids. With her eyes fixed on mine, she yells, "Come have your dinner." Our two children immediately run back into the dining room, probably not far away, but waiting for us to be okay. They just sit and resume eating without saying anything. With a tiny smile, I say, they know us too well. Tiffany nods and laughs, then returns to her home. Tiffany stops me mid-sentence, saying, hold on, Jason. You said you'd give up eating to have them back. So, you're done. I reach for my menu. My family is staring at me smugly. Okay, I'll be back later. I need to get something from work anyway, I reply with a small smile. Stop right there, mister. I know your game, I laugh as I open the door as my wife follows closely behind me. Really, don't wait for me, and don't check if my breath smells like burger and onions when I return. Abigail exclaims, Daddy, and we all chuckle. I'm pulled back to the dinner table by Tiffany. After dinner, we sit down to watch a movie. With my wife and kids, these are my favorite nights. My sister enters, saying, Hey, big bro, and punches me in the shoulder as usual. Ow, Rebecca, I give myself a shoulder rub. Must you hit every time? Certainly, she replies, glancing at Abigail. We need to keep our brothers straight, right? I tell my daughter, me, no hitting, and Abigail gives my sister a high five. Right, they say, and they smile at me. Mark will hit back if you do that to him. Mark doesn't go easy, even if it's his younger sister hitting him. Rebecca looks at me with her blue eyes and asks, is she off to a meeting again? She has a name, you know, Tiffany. Tiffany and Rebecca haven't always gotten along, mostly because of their differences. I've tried to make things better between them, but I believe that Rebecca still doesn't trust my wife because of the way she behaved just before our marriage. You know, the old chain ball, the mean lady, the bad dream girl? Okay, hey Lili, go up and get your stuff for softball, okay? Tell Mark to get his baseball stuff too. It's both today, Daddy. I turn back to Rebecca after grinning at my little star and saying, Yep, both today, kiddo. I'd really like it if you said nice things about their mom while you're here. Nice things, remarks Rebecca, grinning broadly. When I visit, she doesn't call you a bad dream girl, Rebecca. Where did you learn those words anyway? Here and there, she responds as she makes her way over to the couch. My sister, who is 28 years old, is very different from me and has a different perspective. Rebecca believes that my life with Tiffany was not the best decision, even though we are close. Changing her mind seems difficult, and she doesn't like my wife. She was with Rick right before the wedding, you know. The family still talks about it. Mom? I inquire, astonished. My sibling gives a nod. You all need to move on. They were drunk and not thinking when that happened. We've all heard that, but it's not fooling anyone, Jason. Your wife is not a good person, and you won't see it. That's not right, I say, turning to look more directly at Rebecca. Tiffany is a good mom and wife, sure. She gives me a strange look and answers, sure, keep saying that to yourself, big guy. She's not here this weekend to help with the kids' practice, I respond. She's at work. I explain. Tiffany's now a top nurse, so she's learning a lot to teach other nurses at the hospital. Rebecca rejects it with a shake of her head. No way, big bro. She's tricking you. Tiffany wouldn't trick me, Becky. That's not her style. Rebecca gets up, hits my arm, and says, she does, and you can't see it. She then heads to the kitchen. Jason, you should check on her today, I say as I rub my arm and turn to face my sister. I can't just call her. Tiffany's got meetings all day. She can't just chat whenever. She's your wife, right? Just see how she's doing. Tell her you miss her and want her back soon. She'll be back when she's done. She snaps back, Becky, don't call me Becky. I don't use that name anymore. I say, attempting to lighten the situation. You used to. Her mood lightens a little as I playfully push her and laugh. I should call Tiffany, she still thinks. If I do this, you've got to talk to her. Say something nice about how she's with the kids. I sure won't, says my brave sister. Just be kind. Say something nice, all right? Do it for me. I open my phone and find Tiffany's number in an attempt to persuade her. Give her a call, she says. I'll think of something nice. Maybe I can say yay to her for getting over that sickness she got from Rick. It was 15 years ago. Just a few days before our wedding, Tiffany was in a drunken mess. Rebecca, stop it, okay? I've tried so hard to forget. Just before our big day, I had a sleepover with Richard Stanton, my best man and best friend. We had all overindulged in alcohol, and everything was disorganized. Rick and Tiffany went too far and found themselves in the ladies' room of a bar together. My family hasn't looked at Tiffany the same since my mom and another woman saw them. When my mom comes over to visit the kids, she can't even look at my wife. According to her doctor, it's so she won't have to remember seeing my soon-to-be wife in that manner while out drinking with one of my friends. As my sister puts it, she hasn't changed. But okay, I'll say something nice if you get her on the phone. I bet you can't. I'll try calling Tiffany and say that. I give up after a few tries and put the phone away. Rebecca is in a meeting. No, she's not. If she were in some big room listening to a talk, she'd have her phone close. Tiffany never leaves her phone, she replies. Maybe she put it on silent. You don't know what's happening. Stop being so worried. Tiffany hasn't and won't be unfaithful again. Mark enters the room and says, cheat, taking us by surprise when we're playing cards. My sister approaches him and messes up his hair, saying with a straight face, Aunt Rebecca tells my son he cheats at card games, just like him. He laughs and tries to comb it once more, saying, he just fixed it. Stop, Aunt Rebecca. My son grinned broadly and said, yep, you're just like him, a cheater. If they don't catch you, it's not cheating. Rebecca gives me a strange look and walks off with the cheater mark. You just need to know how to hide your cards well, she says, glancing at me. It's easier to see the cards if you stand behind the player. Maybe we should visit, right, brother? Even after what transpired with Rick, I had never thought of my wife in that way. Rick had taken advantage of her when she was too inebriated to stop him, and I was furious with him that day. After that, I didn't speak with Rick once more. I wasn't bothered if he was too inebriated. We decided that he had gone too far. I hear Rebecca say, call her, as she and Mark get water in the kitchen. You need to know, Jason. Maybe she's right. I need to check if my wife is safe and not in trouble again. It happened once, so it could happen again. I dial her number. I hear the phone ring. Hello? Hello? A man's voice answers, not Tiffany. Who's this? And the connection ends. Glancing at my phone, I say, darn, every time I try to call, it just ends up in voicemail. After nearly 30 minutes on the phone, a call from an unknown number comes in. With my phone to my ear, I said, hello? It's me, Tiffany said in a clear voice. I asked, are you okay? I need your help. I'm fine, but my phone's gone. I think someone swiped it from my spot here at the event about an hour ago. We've all been searching, but no luck. My concern for my spouse began to lessen. Your phone got taken? Yeah, unless I lost it somewhere. But nobody saw who did it. Babe, I need another phone, I said while wiping my forehead. Okay, Tiffany said, sounding disappointed about her phone. I'll check with our phone company about insurance. All right, don't fret. We'll get you a new one, okay? Still, I felt better knowing that she was all right. I'm bored but fine, I said, shifting around the kitchen as I tried to think of what to say next, but ran out of words. Everything else all right? So I said I'll get that phone sorted, Tiff. Swing by the carrier shop later if you can and pick it up. Love you. Love you too, Jason, she stated, giving me goosebumps. I said, can't wait to see you after this conference ends. You said, me too, and the call abruptly ended. I then pocketed my phone. Upon noticing my sister in the living room surrounded by the children and their athletic equipment, I said, Tiffany says hi, sis. She winced. With a quick fake smile, she said, great, not really meaning it, and she and Mark left the room. I trailed closely behind, still scratching my head over how my wife's phone could have been taken. We've never had to worry about it before, and it seemed strange that there would be thieves among the well-paid doctors and nurses in this place. However, after giving it some thought, it might make some sense. Nevertheless, I have to give the phone company a call today to get Tiffany a new phone. Rebecca can drive while I do that, but with the kids and her behind the wheel, things could get a little messy. My receptionist says, good morning, Jason, as I enter the office. Sarah Duncan is a 60-year-old woman with light blue eyes and short gray-black hair. She is a very reliable member of the office team that I really rely on, and even though she is much older than me, she still has that look. Things would simply stop here without her. I smile and say, morning, Sarah. It was all right. Really, I slept so little because I was lying next to my wife. For the past 3 days that Tiffany has been home, we haven't really talked. Yes, the small talk you'd expect from a married couple, but after 15 years together, the close relationship isn't the same. I'm not quite sure what makes her unique. There's fresh coffee ready, and I've left some message notes on your desk. One woman sounded like she wants to buy every insurance you've got. Now, that's what I like to hear, I respond with a broad grin. Sarah gives me one last smile and says, thanks, Sarah. Let me know if you need anything, Jason, before returning to her work. I enter my office, close the door, and go to my workstation. I mumble to myself, home at last, as I settle in and begin reading the notes Sarah left me. I hope this is fresh work. I've been successful at recruiting new clients for my insurance since I opened Anderson Independent Insurance almost 10 years ago, and I love it. You see, I was sick of working for other people. I got into insurance school with the help of an agent who sold insurance all over the country. After I learned the ins and outs with him, I went it alone. I have hundreds of clients now, and I'm well liked by the city's business group. I've achieved my long-desired goal of becoming the best at what I do. However, I would give up everything to make amends with my wife, Tiffany. We just don't feel like we're getting along. The ring of my phone starts lets me out of my reverie. I press the speaker button and say, hello? Hey, Jason, because even after all these years together, I can still recognize Tiffany's voice. I look at the pink slips with the names of people who might require insurance and say, got time to talk? They say that I should be busy, but I have to work out why we are not getting along. I hear her sigh and ask, what's going on? I think I was a bit off. Didn't feel up for being close. She apologizes, and I quickly pick up the phone so that our conversation remains private. Jason, I don't like thinking you're upset 'cause I wasn't there for you, she sighs again. It's okay, I say quietly, but it bothers me. I just don't want you mad at me. I don't like it when you're mad, she replies. I don't really get upset with her when she rejects me, but occasionally I do. Our marriage has occasionally struggled with it, which has resulted in some major arguments about my behavior. Tiffany has never apologized to me, though, for making me feel unwelcome. She mostly tells me to mature. Why is she apologizing now, then? These past few days have been tough, Tiff. You've been swamped, and so have I, plus, the kids' baseball and softball games have been eating up all our time. I'm not mad about last night, okay? We can move past it, perhaps she responds. Something occurs to me. I take a moment to breathe and say, how about we take a trip this weekend, just us, while my sister looks after the kids? They don't have any games, so it's a good chance for us to spend time together. What do you think, Tiff? She lets out another sigh. This one has a deep sound, and it chills me. I have to get to Richmond, Jason. Richmond, Virginia? I crush a pink slip of paper in my hand, confused. She says, not another trip, Tiffany. I'm sorry, at once. Jason, I really should go. They keep saying it's a big deal. Who's making you go, Tiffany? Which boss? Devin Barr, the owner of the hospital, is one of the high-ranking officials at her facility. I yell so loudly that our receptionist Sarah can probably hear me. Should I talk to Dr. Barr? Is he the guy making you leave us every weekend? She is familiar with me, but she rarely sees me this angry. My wife's sharp phone voice tells me she's angry, so I wonder what she's thinking and try not to call anyone Jason. I don't need you causing trouble for me at the hospital, I respond. I can't help but swear, something my wife detests. It's not the hospital work bothering me, it's all these trips to big cities for meetings. When will this stop, Tiffany? It was a trait my sister and I inherited from our father, a military man who was never afraid to swear or say hurtful things. I'm tame in comparison to him. Please, Jason, no calls. You could get me fired, she says. Maybe that's what should happen, I respond, then you could be home more with us, with the family. We're all feeling the strain from being away. Don't drag the kids into this, she says. This issue is between us. But the kids miss you on weekends, I counter. The line goes silent for a while my wife muses, don't you see? You're away so much, they notice. They see you come back changed. I see it too, a new person. I say, trying not to laugh, you're acting and talking differently, right, Tiffany? These trips are bad for us. Think about not going this time. Come away with me. Maybe then you can find your way back to me. Don't we owe it to each other? I was there for you when you needed it, I beg. For months while you were all in on your new job, I handled everything at home. I didn't complain about you being away a lot or say you didn't care enough. I just did what was needed to keep us going. I thought soon you'd be around more, so I kept quiet. But now, how do you pay me back, Jason? Her remarks make my head tremble. But, Jason, I love you. But if you mess with my job, I swear I'll leave, she says angrily. Love, I say, trying to think clearly. Her words cause my heart to skip a beat. Feeling overpowered, I asked myself, why would she say something so harsh? I'd never say that to Tiffany, I sag back and all I can say is, wow. I'm left feeling depressed as she insists, I have to go early Friday. I can't change it, so you need to just deal with it and back me up, Jason. Show me you care enough to let this go. It's only for a little while longer. Just give me some space, before hanging up. I whisper, damn, and set the phone down again. I tremble a little and gasp in response, why did you say that to me, Tiff? It's the most we've ever talked in our many years together. It really frightens and hurts me. After 15 years, this is not the Tiffany I knew. I don't live with a woman like this. It's Friday soon, and I'm still not over Tiffany's phone conversation with me. It feels wrong when we get home and eat with the kids. Abigail even notices a strange vibe and inquires about our well-being. We reassure her that everything is well, but before the lights go out, we sleep with our backs to each other and without touching. There's a problem with Tiffany, and I have to investigate. Sarah calls, Jason, and peers into my workspace. I give her a nod to enter. Her words, we found this in the mailbox, as she gives me a little brown envelope. I flip it over and study the large, uncomplicated letters. I say, that's odd, and turn to face her. Did it come with the mail? I think so. It's got the postmark on it, she says. Yeah, it seems like it, I reply, a little afraid because my name is on it. Why not? Sarah asks herself, I wonder if it's okay to open. It's just odd. It looks like someone didn't want me to know who they are by how they wrote. The writing looks like a kid's, worse than my daughter Abigail's, but it's also kind of spooky, making me think of bad stuff like letter bombs people were scared of before. The writing on those envelopes, from what I remember seeing on TV, was kind of big and looked like a kid did it. I'm just going to open it, I say in a stern tone while staring toward Sarah. All right, she says, taking a step back. I can't help but smile as I carefully pry open the envelope's top. I open it, pull out a piece of paper with typewritten words on it that says, "Your wife is doing bad stuff. Email me." Immediately after, I receive an email from a service I'm not familiar with. I put the paper back in the envelope and say, "Sarah, want to know anything big?" I reply, "Nah," and slide the envelope into my desk drawer. Sarah is always curious to find out more. Just a friend making a joke on me. Really? What kind of joke? That's why she waited for me to open it. It's a blank page. I have a friend who said I was like a blank page in college. After all this time, he thinks it's funny to send me this, I clarify while maintaining a grin. How do you know it's him if it's just blank? How can you tell? She asks. I just do, I answer, straining to come up with a clever lie. Her eyes show that she wants to trust me, but I can tell she's not entirely buying it. It's Mason Towell, a guy from way back. We talk online. And he once said I was like a blank page and hard to figure out. He liked to make jokes before, and I guess he thinks it's time to do it again. It's nothing, Sarah, just nothing. At last, she says, "Okay," and moves toward the door. She walks out of my office, saying, "I'll let you know if any more blank papers come, Jason." I gently close the door. I reach into my drawer for the envelope and take out the paper once more. I murmur, "What's this?" as I place the paper down on my desk. I open the envelope to see nothing more, so I glance at the email on top. Who's this? I ask myself. I open my computer's email, type in the address, and begin to type. I introduce myself as Jason Anderson. Unsure of what to say next, I look at my hands. When someone accuses your wife of doing something wrong, how do you respond? Is this a ruse? Perhaps Tiffany is preparing an attempt to discredit me once more. In any case, I require responses. I say, "I got your letter. Please write back," without explaining much. For now, no more words are necessary. I say, "Screw it," and press send. I recline and wait for a response. My receptionist peeks in and says, "Jason, calling." I scowl, "Your wife is online. Why did she not give me a call directly?" "She didn't say," Sarah responds. I look at the phone and notice that the red light is blinking. She's waiting for you. As Sarah returns to her desk, I answer the phone. "Hello?" I ask. "Hey," Tiffany says in a quiet voice. "How's your morning?" you ask. "All right," I answer with a hint of abrasion. "How about you?" she asks. "I'm okay," she replies. Usually, we have a little awkward conversation after a fight, but this one seems much colder, at least to me. Something like, "Jason, are you mad at me?" makes me giggle a little, but not in a good way. "Don't act like that," Tiffany snaps back. "Why would I be mad at you, dear?" Tiffany knows she said something hurtful about my early years, but she still says, "No need for the mean talk." Mean? I'm being nice, dear, at least nicer than how you talk to me sometimes. She knows that I don't like it when she brings up things like that because my parents split up, and it was difficult. I'm upset, and I can't pretend things are okay. "Just be kind," she asks. I take a quick look at the paper and envelope on my desk and say, "Can't we just have a nice chat?" "I'm not leaving you, Jason." With a tinge of irritation, I say, "That's good to know." Tiffany always makes me feel important when she says, "Please," in a soft voice. I see that I give in a little. I slide the paper and envelope into a desk drawer and close it, saying, "Sorry," to my wife. "That's great," she says, sounding a little happier. "The morning's all right, dear. No trouble here." I'm sorry about going away tomorrow, but I've been thinking about your idea to take a break. I'd really like to do that soon, if it's okay with you. Go where? I inquire. She seems to be transferring documents on her end. I was thinking Reno or Las Vegas, Nevada. Really? We've never been to Nevada, so it's a surprise. Why there, Tiff? We don't even like to bet, for the shows, love, I reply. She looked out my office window and said, we should spend more time together. We could see a few, enjoy the big meals, and just relax in a hotel room most of the time. I respond, Nevada seems far for a trip, just 4 days. Tiffany continued, and I thought about it. Maybe we'll see how much it'll cost. Okay, I replied, think for a few days, and we'll decide. Okay, when I get back. Jason, I have to leave now. All right, see you after work. I said, see you, and hung up. I leaned back and observed the passing cars. While I was glad about the prospect of traveling with Tiffany, I was also concerned about her potential for divorce. I muttered, oh no, as I opened the message while staring at my computer. Dear Mr. Anderson, you don't know me, and I won't tell you who I am now. Just know I am close to your wife at the hospital. Tiffany and I understand each other quite well, began the message. Tiffany had some coworkers, but nothing more, so this was strange. It continued, I might even know her better than you. There are things she keeps from you, followed by, let's meet for a quick talk today at the coffee place on Oak and Harland at 4 in the afternoon. Look for me at the back near the bathrooms. The tone of this message suggested secrets, which made it seem odd and unsettling and made me believe Tiffany and I shared a great deal. The prospect of a quick meeting implied that significant realities were just out of reach. The email ended with blank lines and said, here's something you might like. See you this afternoon. I clicked on the attached file. Shocked, I leaned back and whispered, Tiffany, as her photo appeared on my screen. No, what's this? My wife asks, as she sits nude by a large hotel window with the skyscrapers of the city in the background. I initially believe it to be fake, but it's not. It looks like Tiffany was photographed in her undies. My temper is building, but I know I can't let it out. I look at my timepiece. It is a little after 10 o'clock. It is now essential to meet the email sender. I have to research this picture. This is unbelievable. I try not to get too worked up, but I have to. We will meet up with the sender later. Entering the tiny coffee shop on Oak and Harlan Streets, I search for the unidentified individual who I was told would be by the restroom. Glancing around, I quickly meet the eyes of a young man. He tries to smile and waves, but it disappears quickly. You're the one I'm meeting? I approach and inquire. He gives a nod. When a waiter comes over, he says, Mr. Anderson, please sit down, and requests coffee for the two of us. He looks at me, clasps his hands, and says, I'm Paul. I doubt this is his real name, but he doesn't shake hands. I really want to ask about my wife's photo that he sent, but I've been thinking about it all day. Why did you message me? I must gather information. I can't let my emotions take center stage. Paul glances at his hands before looking up at me. I would say he's in his late 20s or early 30s, younger than me. I have to admit, his light brown eyes and hair look good. He's also in shape. His neat hands and fancy watch suggest that he works in health. He says to me, I've known Tiffany for 3 years, Mr. Anderson. We've worked at the hospital a lot, became friends and professional mates. So when I say I started to fall for your wife, no, I was pushed to feel this way. As the waiter brings our coffees, I give him a fierce look and ask, falling for my wife? I ask Paul, what does that even mean, after she leaves? Although I want to shake him up, his gaze is steady as he says, it means what it says, Mr. Anderson. He remains composed while I attempt to understand Tiffany's situation. To our surprise, I blurt out, did you two get together? He looks at it, takes a sip of his coffee, and lets out a deep breath before responding, yes, we did. I sit back, really wanting to hit him. You jerk, he exclaims, lifting a hand. Let me finish. I'm not with her now, but we were together for a week, I say. We traveled to Atlanta. I rest my arms on the small table as I lean in. He nods, and I become enraged, believing my wife might be seeing someone else. You both went? Is that where you took the picture you sent me? I ask in response. I try not to get angry and ask, why tell me this? He finishes his coffee and says, I just wanted to be close to her, Mr. Anderson. I knew she was married, but Tiffany said it was pretty much done. So we went to Atlanta and spent the weekend in love. While others were at meetings, we hardly left the room. I want to jump over the table and yell, man, at him. Tiffany said she loved it with me and wanted more. I thought we'd go to Richmond this weekend. You're not. I clench my teeth together. Too bad. Please, Mr. Anderson, I want to help you. Tiffany and I are done. I look at my coffee and ask myself, what do you mean she's going to Richmond with another guy from the hospital, a doctor who? I just need to know what my wife has been doing. Paul looks around the quiet shop and drinks more coffee. I don't know for sure, but he's a doctor in general surgery, a surgeon maybe. But there are regular doctors there too. It could be anyone. I tried to talk to Tiffany, but she's not answering me. She didn't reply to my texts, so I asked her work friends about her. One of them told me something big about the doctor. Even the other nurses know. I tip my head back and stroke my tresses. This is too much for me. It's all so unbelievable to me. I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. I am. This is hard to hear, but you should know what's happening. Just as angry as I am about the affair is the idea that Paul wants to harm my wife. You're just jealous, Paul. You don't feel bad for sleeping with another man's wife. You want revenge. You've got it, he remarks. I'm hurt and don't like being ignored. She could have just told me it was done, not sneak around and take another guy to Richmond. If I knew she was leaving me, I wouldn't have let her use my phone to make that fake call about losing her phone to you. You're such a fake. I speak with such volume that those in the coffee shop begin to notice us. Why am I here? You could have just told me about you and Tiffany in that blank note you sent. What's really going on? I ask Paul, lowering my voice. He gives a nod. Paul takes out a tiny envelope and says, You're right. I do want something else, a sort of revenge like you said. But I think you'll be glad we met today. I put the envelope in my pocket and ask, and there's a flash drive. It used to have 16 gigabytes free before I filled it with photos and videos of your wife. How long have you two been sneaking around? To fill up a drive, it must have been more than just Atlanta. As I mentioned. Picture you sent me? He nods, and my wife might be seeing someone else, which makes me angry. I try not to get angry and ask, why tell me this? He finishes his coffee and says, I just wanted to be close to her, Mr. Anderson. I knew she was married, but Tiffany said it was pretty much done. So, we went to Atlanta and spent the weekend in love. While others were at meetings, we hardly left the room, man. I consider launching myself across the table at him. Tiffany said she loved it with me and wanted more. I thought we'd go to Richmond this weekend. You're not. I clench my teeth together. Too bad. Please, Mr. Anderson, I want to help you. Tiffany and I are done. I stare at my coffee, not wanting it. What do you mean she's going to Richmond with another guy from the hospital? A doctor who? I just need to know what my wife has been doing. Paul looks around the quiet shop and drinks more coffee. I don't know for sure, but he's a doctor in general surgery. A surgeon maybe, but there are regular doctors there too. It could be anyone. I tried to talk to Tiffany, but she's not answering me. She didn't reply to my texts, so I asked her work friends about her. One of them told me something big about the doctor. Even the other nurses know. I tip my head back and stroke my tresses. This is too much for me. It's all so unbelievable to me. I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson. I am. This is hard to hear, but you should know what's happening. Just as angry as I am about the affair is the idea that Paul wants to harm my wife. You're just jealous, Paul. You don't feel bad for sleeping with another man's wife. You want revenge. You've got it, he remarks. I'm hurt and don't like being ignored. She could have just told me it was done, not sneak around and take another guy to Richmond. If I knew she was leaving me, I wouldn't have let her use my phone to make that fake call about losing her phone to you. You're such a fake. I speak with such volume that those in the coffee shop begin to notice us. Why am I here? You could have just told me about you and Tiffany in that blank note you sent. What's really going on? I ask Paul, lowering my voice. He gives a nod. Paul takes out a tiny envelope and says, "You're right. I do want something else, a sort of revenge like you said. But I think you'll be glad we met today. And here, there's a flash drive. It used to have 16 gigabytes free before I filled it with photos and videos of your wife. How long have you two been sneaking around?" It must have been more than just Atlanta to fill up a drive, I inquired, pocketing the envelope. It doesn't take much for Paul to tell me the whole truth about my wife's infidelity. Like I said, we met for about a week, but in Atlanta was the first time me and Tiffany got together in that way, he says, and I nod. I ask again, feeling constricted in my throat. No, Paul responds, finishing his coffee and leaving a tip for both before getting up to say, "This is goodbye, Mr. Anderson. You have all you need to confront your wife with videos, photos. I wish you luck." He leaves quietly while I just look at my untouched coffee. "Need anything?" the server asks, picking up Paul's empty cup. "No thanks," I whisper, shaking my head. "New cup," she points at mine, smiling softly. "No need." I pull out a 5 and hand it to her. "Have a nice day." "You too," she smiles back. I head to the door, wondering how things will ever be the same. How do I look at Tiffany tonight at dinner with our kids? She's off to Richmond tomorrow for a conference with some guy, unsure of what's next. I drive back to my office. "Morning, Rebecca." I greet my sister as she walks in. "You look tired," she notes, dropping her stuff on the couch. "Sleep okay?" Hardly. Couldn't stop thinking, so I watch TV until dawn. "How much sleep?" 2, maybe 3 hours max," I say with a shrug. I rub my eyes and try to feel better. "Thanks for coming to help with the kids," I say. "You might get to nap while I'm here." Maybe. I give a small smile to my sister. As I head to the kitchen, she follows, stepping light on the tea. "I want some coffee." "No," had mine, she says. "Jason, what's up? You look tired." "Stuff," I say as I pour my coffee and add milk. "Just stuff." "Is it about Tiffany and her trips?" "We've talked about my wife's travels and how my sister doesn't like her much. I can tell she's not a fan." "Just stuff." "Okay." I'm a bit mad now. I don't want to think about my wife with someone else. "Jason, it's clear something's wrong. The kids show it too." Her words make me stop and look at her. "You can tell me anything. We're family." I closed my eyes for a bit, then opened them. I met someone who told me things, bad things. I don't know what to do yet. What things? The kind that mess up my life. I walked past her to the bookshelf in the living room. On a high shelf, I grabbed the flash drive Paul gave me and handed to my sister. "This might mess me up." "Sis, what do you mean?" She looks at it. "What's on this?" "Some big stuff." I tell her. "Tiffany's mixed up in it. A guy told me on Thursday." "The guy you spoke with? Who's he?" I let out a heavy breath as I place my coffee down. "He says his name's Paul, but that's not his real name." I think he didn't want to say much about himself. "Is this some secret spy stuff?" Rebecca turns the small drive over in her hand. "What's on this, Jason?" I really don't want to say, even though I'm not sure there's anything on it. I haven't checked. I don't like the idea of giving Rebecca something else to use against Tiffany. She already has enough to be mad at my wife, and I don't want to add to it. Paul said it might have things about Tiffany that I won't like. "Oh no." Rebecca whispers, looking around. "Where are the kids?" "Jason, upstairs." I say. "They're playing a game and won't come down until lunch." "She's been unfaithful, hasn't she?" I knew it. Rebecca's eyes grow wide as she stares at me. "Jason, you can't let her do this." Holding the drive, she asks, "Does this have info on what Tiffany's doing? Is that why he gave it to you?" "He's not my friend." I say. "Quick, he was." Or I pause, trying to find the right words. "Aw man, he said he was with her a while ago." The room feels colder as I meet my sister's gaze. Memories of Tiffany cheating with my best man just before our wedding flood back to me and Rebecca. I can't take it back now as I see her face switch up. "You had words with her man. What did he spill? What did you toss back?" Rebecca is cool as ice as she drops onto the couch by her bag and purse. I clear my throat to kick off. "He dropped me a note, wanted a chat, gave me an email." So I shot one back and waited. He hits back with a bare pic of Tiffany. Felt like I had to see him then. Damn, my Sis shakes her head, and then I shrug, settling into a nearby seat, and go on. Says they were a thing for a bit, hit a peak when they jetted off to Atlanta. My eyes drop as I spill to my sis. He claims Tiffany's real pushy. In bed pushy, what's that even mean? Can't say, but looks like he's got a video or something of them. Paul's mad cause Tiffany left him for some other dude. Jason, she with another man in Richmond while you're stuck here with the kids. My sister's voice cranks up, her anger clear. That damn witch Rebecca, I whisper, pressing a finger to my lips. Careful, the kids might hear. She nods. Right, got to think of them now. She eyes the drive. So you seen any of it yet? None, I admit. Didn't have the nerve. Hoped it was all a big mix-up that I could keep on with Tiffany. Hold up, you mean this guy shows you a naked pic of Tiffany, says he's been with her, hands you more proof, and you've still not peeked? Rebecca snorts, digging into her backpack. She yanks out a small laptop and boots it up. What are you doing? I asked. My sister need to find out what's on here, big bro. Rebecca says, not looking up. We got to know what Tiffany's been hiding from you. Jason, don't do this. I reach for the drive, but she dodges and plugs it in. Becky, please, this is going to be awkward for you or for me. She gives me a tough look. Jason, come on, I've seen naked ladies before. Remember your wedding? I was there helping with Tiffany. You were just a kid, 13, she reminds me. And I had to grow up fast after what Tiffany did to you. I was the one you talked to, remember? I remember. I look at her. You've always been by my side, so hear me out now. Jason, see what's on the drive, then decide. You owe it to yourself. She waits for me, making me face the truth I've been avoiding. I know I can't hide forever. I need to face what Tiffany has done. Come sit by me. She moves her bag to the floor. We'll look together, then figure out what to do. I nod and sit next to her. Okay, I'm ready. I take a deep breath as she opens the files. Soon the screen shows lots of small all photos and videos. She clicks on a photo and my face heats up. Oh, she's with him, Paul, right? I nod, both bare, and he looks happy. Don't I tell her no comments, please? My stomach knots as we spot a video clip. That one. My sis looks at the screen before saying, you sure you want to watch a video? Jason, there are a bunch of other stuff we can check out first if you'd rather not jump into videos. I got to see more than just 1 or 2 pics. I say, hit play. Okay, Rebecca clicks the video, and it starts. We quickly turn the volume down because my kids are upstairs. Damn, I whisper, covering my mouth. He's really on her, Rebecca says, hand over her mouth too. We're both quiet, shocked, watching as Paul goes back and forth with Tiffany. Oh man, Jason, I'm so sorry. I can't believe she's really doing this behind my back. I see Tiffany reach around the guy and scratch his back hard, leaving big red marks. Tiffany's having a good time with the young guy, showing it by marking him. She might be doing this right now in Richmond with someone else, I say. Jason, I lean over and shut Rebecca's laptop. Just stop, okay? I get what's happening, and I know she's probably up to no good again. Just don't make it worse. I stand up and start walking around the living room. What am I going to do first? You've got to talk to her about what you found out, Rebecca says. Damn. Then you need to find a lawyer and get a divorce fast. I think you should also try to get the kids. What? I shake my head. The kids. This is going to be hard on them, Rebecca. I can't just end things like this, Jason. You don't have a choice here. Tiffany is cheating with other guys, and she seems really into it. Some people just can't change. What do you mean? I look at my sister. Of course, she can change. I need to figure out how to end this or split without the kids getting hurt. The kids will get hurt no matter what, Rebecca says as she takes the flash drive out of her laptop and gives it to me. You can't just look away, Jason. You have to face what your wife is up to. It's not right, Jason. You can't just let it slide without doing something. She's right, of course, but I'm stuck on what to do. Yes, I could divorce her and no one would fault me, but Rebecca and I have seen how messy divorce can get. It wasn't good before, and it won't be any easier on the kids. Now, I need to know if she's still at it. I say I'll hire a detective. A private detective, really, Jason? You don't need to waste money on that. You've got all the proof you need right here. Maybe she stopped and cut Paul off. Why end a marriage if the affair is over? Rebecca punches my arm lightly and says, if you had listened to Mom and me before marrying her, you wouldn't be in this mess. But then I wouldn't have my kids, I shoot back. She thinks it over, knowing how much she loves Mark and Abigail. They are the most important thing, more than whatever is happening with Tiffany and me. They need to be safe no matter what. Okay, hire your detective, she says. Just be ready for the worst. Rebecca heads upstairs to play with my kids. Damn it, Tiff, I mutter. You've really done it now. Great. I walk to my bedroom. I wanted to nap, but no chance of that now. Instead, I know I've got to find someone fast to check on my wife's actions. How was your trip? I ask, not too eager, as my wife walks into the kitchen. Tiffany got back late last night, and I was already in bed trying to catch some sleep. But I could hardly sleep at all and got up before dawn to make a small breakfast for myself. It was good, Tiffany says with a smile. Anything cool happened while I was gone? She seems really happy, even though she has to go to work in a few hours and has been in meetings for the last 3 days. Not much. I don't look at her as I sip my coffee and glance at my tablet. So, what did you learn at the conference? Tiffany sits across from me after getting her coffee. She looks comfy talking about it. Well, a lot, she starts, but the big thing is about starting to help people at home. It's for stuff that doesn't need a long stay at the hospital. They think it will save money and help the patients out. I nod. That sounds good. Yep, I agree. The guy talking about it was really interesting. Who was it? I asked. Oh, just a guy who runs a big hospital. Can't remember his name. Tiffany drinks her coffee, avoiding my look. Which hospital or what city is it in? Not sure, she says, looking away. It's one in Los Angeles. Tiffany usually remembers everything well and loves to share what she learns about medical stuff, so her not remembering makes me wonder if she's telling the truth. So, that hospital is in Los Angeles. They do home care now? Yeah, they do, she says with a quick smile. Some big med books have even talked about them. I bet. I tap on my tablet, looking for Los Angeles hospitals that offer home care. What else did you do there? Tiffany, feeling uneasy, tries to change the subject. Hang on, I need to catch up on how my family's been, Jason. Her nervous laugh doesn't help as she asks, how are the baseball games? Baseball games? What games, Mark's and Lily's? I say, trying to hide my anger as I move in my seat. They didn't have games. Remember, this was their free weekend for a bit, I say, shaking my head. It would have been nice if you were here. Lila kept asking for you. Oh, I know, and I really wish I could have. Maybe things will get easier after next weekend. Next weekend, really? My face gets hot as I push away my coffee. What's next weekend, Tiff? That's the big nurse meeting in Dallas, honey. You know about that. We've talked about it. No, I don't remember talking about that, I say, looking back at my tablet and searching for a nurse convention in Dallas. We did. It might have been a few weeks back, but I'm sure we talked about it, Jason. I clear my throat. I can't find it online, Tiffany. Maybe you got the dates mixed up. Maybe I should, she says, looking at her phone. It has buzzed a few times in her hand, making me more suspicious. A buddy, I look at her phone, it's a boss from the hospital. Got to check dates. Okay, Tiffany gives a shaky smile as she texts. Would be nice to have you next weekend. We could hang out, and the kids would miss you less. Maybe do a picnic. It's this weekend, she blurts out. He just told me. It's a closed event. No ads for it. I watch my smart wife, thinking if the person texting helped her make up this tale. This weekend? I grunt. Bad timing for you to go, dear. I really need you to push it back and stay with us. We miss having you around after you've been away a lot. I can't, Jason. We've talked about this. Lots is happening at the hospital, and they count on me. So, which hospital in Los Angeles again? I don't know, Jason, she says flatly. I looked for any home care linked to all the hospitals there and found nothing. Then you searched wrong. It's one of those hospitals really leading the way for others. Then there should be lots of info online, right? I flutter my eyelashes at my wife. Should be easy to find. Tiffany shakes her head. Jason, why so serious? Just chill and chat with me. You don't need to dig into my work to impress me. So that's it. Tiffany thinks I'm searching all this just to talk to her. Really, Tiff, just stay, please. I let myself look a bit sad, hoping to touch her heart. Stay with me and the kids. We'll have a great weekend. Even though I can tell my wife feels a bit sorry for me, she's not fully on my side about canceling her trip. I have to go, Jason, she says. She stands up, walks to me, and gives me a quick kiss on the cheek and then on the lips. It's a cool kiss, not the warm kind I'm used to from Tiffany. How about a quick, __, sweetheart? Would you like that? I would really like one since it's been so long, but not right now, not with the things I'm starting to notice about Tiffany. No, I need to get ready for work. I look away and stand up, feeling a bit awkward. Come on, Jason, let's have some fun. I look at her again. I'd skip the next dozen, __, just to have you stay home next weekend, Tiffany. We could have a great time, I promise. I'm trying one last time to get her to change her mind. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'll do. Tiffany looks sad. I'm sorry, Jason. I can't do that. She walks past me to the living room and starts watching the morning news, ignoring our talk about her trips. Fine, I mutter as I go to our bedroom. I have to get ready for work and make sure I'm on time, but today I'm more focused on figuring out what Tiffany does on her trips. I think I'm going to need to hire a detective, Clifford Maven says, the rough-looking man as he comes up to my desk. Good to see you, Mr. Anderson. I nod at my helper before she shuts my office door. Good to see you too. I put out my hand to shake his, surprised at how fast he got here. To talk about my wife, please sit, I say. Thanks, the detective says as he takes a seat in front of my desk. I hear you're having trouble with your marriage. I look quickly at the door, then back to the detective and say, I think my wife is seeing other guys without telling me. I just want to know if it's true or not. Mr. Maven sits back and looks at me hard as he asks, why do you think your wife is seeing other guys, Mr. Anderson? I shifted my seat to get comfy. She's been out a lot lately, almost every weekend for about 6 weeks. She's been going to meetings for her job, but I've heard she's using these trips to meet up with other men from her work. What does she do for work? He asks as he pulls out a small book. She's a nurse at the city hospital. I think the men she meets are from there too. How do you know this? His blue eyes flick back to me, waiting for an answer. I got this. I hand the detective the envelope I got last week from someone I didn't know. The note inside told me to call him, and when I did, he had more to tell. What kind of stuff? This kind. I open my desk drawer, take out the flash drive, and put it on the desk between us. It's got videos and photos of my wife with another man, the same man who sent me the message. You met him? Mr. Maven shakes his head. Why do you need me? He asks. To help prove what I think is true, I say, but if you have videos and photos, you don't need me to find more stuff to leave your wife, Mr. Anderson. Why pay me to dig up more? I shake my head. Leaving her isn't my plan right now, Mr. Maven. I just need to figure out what Tiffany is doing. Tiffany, that's her name. He writes it down. Yes, she's got another meeting this weekend. Can you see if she's with another guy? I ask, feeling uneasy about the whole thing. He puts his notebook away. Where's the meeting? Dallas, I reply, feeling a chill. Texas, that's far, Mr. Anderson. I usually work around here. Going far means more money. How much? I asked, already worrying about the cost. It's a lot. He looks unsure, but I know the price won't stop him if I agree. Yet that price is daunting. How much? $3,000, he says, making me gasp, plus hotel stays and food. That much? It hits me hard, the price sinking in. Wow, that's hefty for just a few days. It's a big trip, Mr. Anderson. Also, I charge $150 an hour. I'm cutting you a deal since I'll be on this nonstop. Damn, I can pay, but it hurts to spend on this. My wife should be loyal, yet it seems she's been with others. I'll spend if it means learning the truth about Tiffany, I nod. You can pay half now, the rest later, but I need it all by next Wednesday. I keep things tight, Mr. Anderson, so tell me if you want me on this over the weekend, he says. I nod, yes, go ahead, watch my wife this weekend. Check her fast actions if possible. He shakes his head. Can't do that, I'll just follow and watch Mrs. Anderson. Digging old dirt might alert her to us. When will I know if she's doing wrong? As soon as I find out, Mr. Anderson. I can text or call with info, the sooner, the better. I take a deep breath, feeling calmer. I want to know as it happens, even the hard stuff to take. Yes, I nod. Give me everything, photos, videos, you name it, to show me what Tiffany is doing. The investigator raises a brow, mulling over my request. This will be tough, you might find nothing, I say, maybe it's all in my head, Mr. Maven. He leans in, eyes fixed on me. Mr. Anderson. Understand, diving into this might reveal things you're not ready for, but if you're sure, I'll start this weekend. We'll see what we find about Tiffany. It's been my know-how, he starts, that when one thinks their other half is stepping out, they're often right. This might just be the start. Hearing this, I feel a twist in my gut, my heart beats fast. I think about what if Tiffany is caught in Dallas, the thought of her with more than one man stings. I can pay $2,000 now, but got to use a card so Tiffany won't see it, I say. I only take cash, the older guy says, but I can wait if you need to pull cash with the card. Okay, I pull out a wallet and take out a credit card Tiffany doesn't know about. I've had it for 3 years, mainly for work stuff, but I knew it might come in handy for other things. When will your wife be in Dallas? She's flying out Friday early afternoon and will be at her hotel by dinner. The event she's attending starts at 7 that evening. I can be there too, he says. Which hotel? The Hotel Drummond, I say. It's one of the new ones in Dallas, I know it, he nods, writing it down. It's pricey, I know. The thought of shelling out $200 a night for his room doesn't make me happy. But he needs to be close to keep an eye on Tiffany. Try to get me a room near your wife's, he says with a serious look. I just nod. Tell them I'll be in town for the meet and I know others staying there too. Getting me close to her will make it easy for me to do what I got to do. Got it? Mr. Maven grins a bit, then says, all will be okay, Mr. Anderson. It's always darkest before dawn. It feels like I've been in the dark for ages. Things haven't been going my way. I'm sorry things are rough for you. Hiring me might give you some peace. The private eye stands, heading for my office door. I'll swing by after 5 to pick up the first bit of cash, he adds. I nod, then I'm off. On Friday, Mr. Maven gives a small smile and leaves. My gut twists, making me feel sick, but just for a bit. Then I feel it's right what I'm doing. This is on you, Tiff. I whisper in my quiet office. I didn't want to, but you didn't leave me a choice. You being with other guys can't let that slide. I step to my receptionist, saying, I need a few minutes out. Send any calls to my voicemail. She nods, and I head out of my insurance office. No time to waste getting Mr. Maven's money. Now's as good a time as any. Back in my chair, I munch on a sandwich. It's a working breakfast for me today as I've got a bunch of new insurance plans starting for our clients' employees. Filling out all those forms for the workers has eaten up a lot of time, especially without 2 of my staff who couldn't make it this early Saturday. I can't really be mad though, seeing as we've had a few really late nights this week already. With my sister at my place watching the kids, I can get some work done by myself. Still, it would have been nice to get some help from the others. When I check my email while surfing the web for a bit, I see a new message from Clifford Maven. He's in Dallas this weekend trying to find out what Tiffany is doing at her conference. I think whatever she did a few weeks back is over now. Thank you for watching part 1. Please subscribe to the channel and please click the link to part 2 below the description. If you find these content useful, please share them with your friends and family. Thank you for your support and have a great day.